All right, ready to go.
It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Brand new show this week. All kind of stuff going on. It's been a wild little week for sure in terms of real estate. Brand new market update numbers in from last month. And they're interesting. We got some sales numbers down a little bit for single families. Prices up a little bit, though, which is great. Condos down significantly, double digits. And so we'll talk about that. Some crazy stuff happened in the interest rate world with both the Federal Reserve meeting, some more stuff affecting the bond market. So we'll dig into that. But also on a good note, we had a new sales record in terms of properties going to contract. We just saw the highest amount of properties going to contract in the 7-day period since March 8th, 2024. So that's great news for everyone out there. It's much surprise to a lot of people to see that many people jumping in. Unfortunately, we did see rates jump up a little bit after the Fed meeting and some other news in terms of the war maybe dragging on a little bit longer in terms of the blockade affected the bond market. We'll dig into that, kind of what that means overall, but we'll really go into the numbers. They're actually pretty decent, which is great. That comes on the heels of rates going 5.99 in February. Obviously, some of those deals started to close in April. But tell you this, like I mentioned before a couple weeks ago, it has been, I think, the most important spring market in a decade in terms of what people are seeing opportunity now. I think there is a small window continually in the next month, 2 months to really get top dollar for your property based on people coming in town, based on pent-up demand for people who have been waiting for rates to come down with that. But we'll dig into that. A couple amazing success stories. Our team's absolutely crushing it. We put 24 properties under contract between the last Saturday to Friday. Last week, we put 7 under contract Saturday and Sunday, and we're already close right at 20 just for this last week. So it's still rolling really good. Our team's been working double, burning the candle at both ends, which is amazing. We'll also get back to cool things on last week's show. Just didn't have time. Get this question a lot. One of the biggest ones happened twice this week, actually. But if your house didn't sell, with somebody else, should you rent the property out? And there's a couple of scenarios. We've seen people now, in some cases, very close in terms of their monthly payment being negative. And that can get very costly. We've seen some situations where renters cost $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 in damage, plus your negative $500 a month in your cash flow. That can be a major problem for you on the back end, or in some cases, based on equity, it can be a good opportunity for you. So just depends on that situation overall. We'll also break into the number one reason that deals fall apart and how to get ahead of that. That's something our last week's show didn't have a chance to get to, but lots of great stuff. And also we'll kind of break down the spring market, where we're at in terms of that. We're still in the heat of it. Like we mentioned, just had the busiest week of the year, which we predicted that would happen just based on some national data, and also some tips and tricks for home sellers on how to capitalize, get the most amount of money for your home, some small things that you can do. But we have one main goal, the same thing we're doing here for 15 plus years in this station, is just kind of help keep you updated, everything real estate related, so that you can make the best decisions for your largest assets. And for most people, that's real estate. And so if you want to come back and watch the show, we stream it live on YouTube. Just type in Blake Sloan Radio Show on YouTube. You can follow me on Facebook at Blake Sloan. We stream it there. We stream it on LinkedIn, stream it on Sloan Realty Group on Facebook. So make sure to stay tuned. Lots of great stuff today.
For any new listeners, just to give you an update on just who Blake is, it's an amazing story. Industry leaders have dubbed him the real estate whiz kid. Been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor Magazine, and many other national publications. He has been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. One of those by itself is an accomplishment, but all of them together is unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about how you and your team work, and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you have developed to help both buyers and sellers here in our market. Recap quickly for anyone new to the show what those are exactly, and a quick overview of how they work, Blake.
Yes, Rick, thanks. And that's the whole reason to the show. I mentioned it, if you listen to it for a while, we do it every week. I made a promise a couple of years ago that it's by far the biggest problem, biggest challenge I see that anyone has overall in terms of consumers. They make this massive mistake over and over and over. And in reality, the most affluent people make it the worst. I don't know why, but they should make this decision that all real estate agents are the same. And it could be further from true, just like any doctor and lawyer. I gave you guys a story last week about Ed. Ed was an agent who sold like 2 houses. The people that we talked to felt obligated to maybe use it. but in reality, it's their largest asset. And so they don't want to gamble with that. Thankfully, I don't know if they listen to the show or what, they end up calling us back once to go with us instead. But this thing happens all the time. And the problem is they just look at the agents as a commodity like corn. So if you look at corn, right, they don't really care about the details of corn. They just buy corn based on the amount of corn, same thing with rice, whatever it is. But that's not how real estate works, because here's why. It's a service-based business, meaning it comes down to how well does a human actually execute from A to Z. Same thing with lawyers, same thing with doctors, right? Some charge of a crime I didn't commit. The last thing I want is a part-time attorney. The last thing I want is a friend of a friend who just does law part-time. And the last thing I want is the cheapest attorney, right? I told this story this past week to somebody. They're talking about that, and they wanted some agent offered to do it less, way less. And there's like basically nothing there to get. So there's no marketing money, no profitability, no anything. So they're just putting MLS for them, nothing else. And so we asked that question, hey, look, if you're charged with a crime you didn't commit and you just search online and search everywhere to find the cheapest attorney, what are you going to get, right? And they said, not good. I said, you're getting jailed, right? Because that's just what happens when you base a service-based outcome on the lowest price, which is the wrong question to ask. And so you don't need to pay the most, but you just want to make sure that the person's qualified. It's obviously part of the equation, but not the number one part of the equation. And so that's our goal here, is to teach people, educate them, and say, look, this is your largest asset, right? There's 118 different variables from A to Z when you sell a property. So if each one's handled correctly by that human, right, puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. And those are things like pricing strategy. How high or low do you start it out, right? What's the marketing look like? What's the photos look like? The quality of photos. There's all the way down to the order of the photos make a difference, because buyers search online. They search by elimination. So, for example, the first 6 photos of your property are all the exterior of the house around each side. A lot of agents make the mistake. They just put the photos in order of like how you walk it, right? The problem is buyers are searching by elimination. They have 40, 50 houses they're looking at. They want to see the best property photos first. That would be things like the exterior, if there's a pool, lake, whatever it is behind it, living room, master, kitchen. Those are the things that matter the most. And those increase click-throughs like 10, 20, 25% based on the order that you do that. So those are details that make or break that. Now you take that over 10,000 or in some cases 100,000 plus views, and you have a 5, 10, 15% increase. And people who click through to show that, it's a massive increase that really makes a big difference. Not to mention negotiation strategy. If an agent, the average agent marketplace sells less than 4 homes per year. That's 1 per quarter. Not sure about you, but like, I'm not a mathematician, but if you do the math on that, there's not much money to eat with, much less spending marketing dollars. And so the reality is they're just putting MLS, sitting back, praying someone actually does, bring a buyer. But the reality is when they're selling 1 home per quarter, worried about how they're paying their mortgage or rent next month, the last thing they're going to do is stand hard and stand tall for your hard-earned equity. They're going to throw it in the bus in 2 seconds because they want to get the deal done. How do I know that? I see it every single day in this business. And so these are the things you want to educate people on, and all these nuances of how they negotiate, what the strategy is, all the terms, how do you keep deals together? Those are all things that people don't realize go on behind the scenes and through the process. And so when I got in the business, like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so when I got in, it was me and my mom. That's January 2005. I grew up in the business. Whole family sold real estate. Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma. And they did not want me to do real estate. I was really good in school, maybe like doctor, lawyer, and always was fascinated in business and knew I wanted to be in real estate. And so I'll never forget, we were Coldwell Banker at the time. There's 200 agents there. They didn't care about us. We didn't care about them. If anything, they would be angry if we got a listing or something. So they definitely weren't helping us sell it. There's no alignment in industry. And so there's got to be a better way to do this. And so what I did was I looked at what people did outside of real estate in other industries and brought that into our business. And I flipped the entire business model upside down. And so we created this thing called the guaranteed sold system, much different than the average agent. The average agent simply takes a listing. They do the 3 Ps. They promise you where to get the listing. Number 2, they put it to MLS. And 3, they pray someone brings a buyer. Meanwhile, they're down the street trying to get the next listing. If they get 10 listings, 5 of them sell, they do okay. But the 5 people whose property did not sell, who wasted 6 months, who moved to Florida and are paying 2 payments, those are the ones who pay the true price. And so it's the last thing I want for you to have, which is why we teach this in here. And so the reality is, I flipped the business model upside down and created this thing called the guaranteed sold system. It's the only proven system that sells twice as fast and for 21% more money than traditional methods, and it works amazing. It's federal trademark on a lot of the stuff that we have there, including the certified real estate expert. And we have the system that's backed up by 2 main things: a large team of people, 30 plus people that execute. We have a team of specialists. Each person specializes in what they're good at, which is each part of it. We have listing coordinator, closing coordinator, full-time photographer, videographer, graphic design, full-time everything pretty much in that scenario. To help you inside sales, which is like a VIP concierge, all those things where everyone can execute the highest level. And we also backed it up by technology, so we know who owns what in the process, and we can hold them accountable if they're doing their job and how well they're doing it. And so that's much different than the average agent just winging it, trying to get the squeaky wheel, right? And so that process manages these and it allows us to be much more efficient. And what it does is we stack the dominoes in the client's favor. We create a small gap for our client at 0.1, small gap 0.2, small gap 0.3. You stack all that up over 118 different variables, creates a massive gap between us and everyone else, right? It's like a marathon. You see everyone take off with the shotgun in the beginning. They start running, looks all the same. But at the end, you see people finish 2 and 3 hours ahead of other people. It's the same exact thing that we do with the marathon of the home sale. And so if you want to know more how that works, reach out, call us 843-808-SOLD. But more importantly, what I did was I put a documentary together. It really pulls back the curtains and goes behind the scenes of what the real estate industry looks like. Massive pitfalls that a lot of home sellers and home buyers make. And we kind of put it out there. It made some agents mad, but we put it out there. It's on my site at blakesloan.com. You can watch the documentary. It shows how the industry works, shows pitfalls, how to get the most money, how not to lose money. And you can watch that right in the site. No opt-in, no sign up. It's right there on the site for you. Definitely go take a look at it today. If you have any questions, reach out, call us 843-808-SOLD. Take a quick break right back here in a second.
Right here in town that will get you the most money with the least hassle. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, knowing the facts when you vote and when you sell your home is always important. That's why you should check out the value of your home in today's market. When you know the accurate value, you are better equipped to make an informed decision with all the options laid out for you. You know, options like an instant offer or lay out your timeline and take advantage of their guaranteed sale program. Or just put it on the market and get more money than you expected. Just go to the website, find out your home's value in seconds. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD, 808-SOLD, or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com. And get your home's real value in today's market in just seconds, and then you can start packing.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corcoran. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sellers, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in a time crunch, you can agree to sell it by a certain date, pay cash for your home, or even rent it.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time?
Use our proven marketing plan to sell it for the highest price.
Work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back, Blake Sloan, Real Estate Show. Brand new market update, all kind of crazy stuff happening here. And I'll tell you, we have two types of numbers we always go over in the shows, right? They really kind of matter. One's what we call the front windshield numbers. I'd say what's closing in the future. That's what I really want to know, right? That's how I help advise my clients, because if I use the data that most people use, which is like the close data, which we're going to do that today with the brand new market numbers fresh off the press from last month. Those numbers closed last month. So in this situation, they close in April. The problem is if they close in April, they win their contract 30 to 60 days prior to that. So you're talking about February, March, right? And so that data is great, but you don't want to make real-time decisions based on that, because you could be 30 to 60 days, you could be 25% of the year behind, right? When you're making that decision. And so I want to use the real-time data to help pick my strategy. Do I push hard for my seller, right? Do I make more aggressive offers as a buyer? Do I back the price down or push it up a little bit? That's real-time data. And so, for example, we track how many properties go under contract every single period of 7 days, every single day of the week. I look at the previous 7 days that are trailing. I look at two main things: how many properties went under contract and what was the volume on those. And anytime I'm near 200 million, market's super hot, it's smoking, right? We just hit a new record, which is amazing. Last week's show, we talked about we hit the most sales since May of 2024. There's only 2 times that it beat that number. We just beat that just this past week. And so last week's show, for example, we did a number of 614 properties under contract for 230 million. Huge, right? Huge, was great. As of today, the last 7 days, 647 properties under contract, 244 million, which is awesome. And some big time stuff under contract as usual lately. Went Northwestern Boulevard, Golden Mile, 3.699. Gray Heron Drive, 2.8 million. Springs Avenue, 2.399 million. One in Plantation Point, 2.25 million. A lot of stuff. Another 2,075,000. 1.8 million, 1.5 million. A lot of stuff there overall that we're kind of running to. Just 14 properties over $1 million in the last 7 days. 110 properties over 500,000. And so That's a major, major jump. Lots of big high-end stuff. So I think about that. I was thinking about today, 110 properties over $500,000. I mean, that's huge. You're talking massive amount. Now, that times 52 weeks. So we've been close to 100 pretty much every single week in that. It's a lot of big time properties coming in town. That's just kind of crazy to see growing up here, being in the business for 20 plus years. So great news for home sellers, great news for equity, still holding on pretty strong overall. And we talked about that number of 647 just last week. The record was set on Wednesday at 670 properties for $250,436,362, which is awesome, right? And that basically went back to the last record, which was close. That was March of last year. It was 674 on March 25th, 2024. So back then, rates were 6.91% that exact day. It was 266 million, and we very, very close to that, say, this week at 670, 250 million. So great news for home sellers out there with that. We'll jump in really quick to the overall, the macro market of what happened last month, which is interesting to look at. Resale sales for single family homes down 1.8% year over year. So you're looking at April versus April, down 1.8%. The good news is it's up significantly from where it was in February. February almost hit like a new low. There's only 382 properties. That 362 properties that closed that were resale single families. Then it jumped up in March to 492, then it went down to 486 here in April. So year over year down just a little bit. Sales price though up slightly, which is great news. We're a little worried there. It's up 2.6% for median sale price at $399,950. Average sale price up 3.7% at $517,000, which is great news because we were going in a 4-month just continual, month after month of declining prices. It declined all the way down from November all the way down to March. And it hit a low in March of 479,725. Then it jumped up between March and April. So March 479, April 517. So significant, almost $36,000 difference there, which is great. So that's great news for home sellers overall. If you look at supply, the amount of homes on the market, it's pretty much on the same, right? 5.0 months of inventory, the exact same place it was in March. So that's pretty good news. Not seeing that climb too much. Days on market, one thing we saw there is overall much better. It's actually down. It's 110 days right now for a property to sell that's a single family. In February, it's 123. So the last couple months is decline, which is great. The big things we're seeing though, showings per listing, the average listing, even still in the current marketplace for a single family home, they get 4 showings the entire time it's listed, which is typically 6 months, right? How many showings does it take to get a contract? It takes 13.3. So you think about it, the average listing gets 4, it takes 13.3. It needs 3 times the amount of showings the average listing gets to actually get a contract. So what does that mean? If you're listed with an average agent, an average strategy, no marketing, right? Just put MLS, your average get 4 showings. The problem is you need over 13 to get a contract statistically. And so you have to drop your price significantly or have someone who can market and push it. And that's the whole marketing equation you got to understand. And so most people tend to drop price, but that's not always the case. You can usually get a better agent, get you more exposure, better quality photos, better pushing, better showings, things like that make a difference. And that's how you're able to move that needle in terms of how we're able to do it. We have a sales team that makes 14,000 phone calls a week. We have massive amounts of buyers that we already have that bring in. And so we're able to kind of use technology and just willpower to match up buyers and sellers to make them aware of the property, to show it, get them on top of it. And it makes a big, big difference in terms of that. So the question there is, if I go with an average agent, I don't want to just get 4 showings, have my property sit there for 6 months. And people don't realize over about 50% of properties that get listed do not sell. So that days on market of 110 days, those are the ones that actually sold. That doesn't count the ones that did not sell. And so you got to keep that in mind when you're thinking about strategy there. It's a shocking fact for a lot of people not realizing that half the properties that are listed don't actually sell when they're listed. They have to either expire and go to a different agent or relist the same agent again. Looking at condo market, they're getting crushed right now. Condo sales down 12% year over year, 350 condos even. Last year, a little bit better than that, obviously. Sales price down 11.4% for median price right now for condos at $216,000. Average sale price down 4% year over year at $270,000, right? We just need to struggle with that. That's a big increase in terms of HOA amounts. You've seen a massive increase in those. You've seen a lot of assessments, both with insurance, other costly issues, things like that. And there's just lots of fees. People get eaten up by fees, HOA amounts, transfer fees. I just bought a condo this past week with our investment fund. It had 2 HOAs. We had to pay 2 HOA fees, 2 HOA transfer fees. I mean, it's out of control. some of those stuff you're seeing in the condo world right now, where these management companies have turned them into profit centers, and it hurts the value of the property because buyers don't want to buy it, right? And so I was looking at the numbers. I mean, this is crazy. Doing a closing here through our investment fund, paying 2 HOA transfer fees, 2 HOA, what they call certificate of assessments, to find out what you owe. And one was a $399 fee just to find out what the previous owner owed or not on the HOA amount, right? So all that stuff adds up, not to mention monthly HOA dues. In this current condo, you're paying 2 HOA dues per month, which is wild. So that's hurting condo values overall. Again, and you see a market that contracts and an economy that contracts where affordability is a challenge, right? Inflation's a big challenge. You're going to see people with second homes tend to basically not focus as much on those in terms of buying it and or keeping what they have. And so if you want to know more about the condos, there are very nuanced situations based on location, where it's at, condo versus condotel, unit size, location, all of that. And so if you ever want to know anything more about that, we've still been doing very, 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 very well with condos, which I've been very, very impressed with, because we can differentiate it very well. We can push it very hard. And that's something that we're very, very good at. And so if you want to know more about that, you can also go to my website. We have an amazing tool on there. It's a very, very expensive tool, about $3,500 a month just for the technology to use. But you can put any property you own anywhere in the country and your whole portfolio in there, and it gives you your own private page that tells you real-time equity, every single comp around it, real-time mortgage balance, any mortgage you have, any taxes. It shows real-time equity, almost like your own stock portfolio on your phone, but it has all the real estate that you own anywhere in the country. And it's a free service, no obligation. You can hit one button and get a human valuation if you want that's much more accurate. And you see that for high-end properties. The algorithms are not very accurate, like waterway properties, oceanfront properties, lakefront properties, golf front properties. The algorithm's not always accurate, so you want probably a human to help you with that. We're more than happy to do that as a service for everyone here. So if you want to know more about that, reach out to me as well. But the bottom line is, hey, market's doing pretty well. We're in the heat of it right now. What I'm watching most, the most important number, is how many properties go under contract. We just hit a new record from 2024, which is awesome. The one thing driving that has been interest rates, and so that's been kind of a challenge to watch. We had some great news there last week. It was 6.32. There's a Federal Reserve meeting this week, and also the same day. What really affected the bond market, which affects mortgage interest rates, was just an announcement that they were going to have a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz much longer than anticipated, which really messed up the bond market and really drove rates up. It went from 6.32 to 6.5 pretty much the same day. And then right now, back down a little bit, which is great. 30-year fixed, 6.45%. A 15-year fixed, 6.01%. A jumbo loan right now, 6.6%. 30-year FHA, 5.95%. And a 30-year VA, 5.97%. Bottom line is, it's a perfect time to tee it up, right? We all know Myrtle Beach is very seasonal. Guess what? We're getting to the heat of the season. There's so many buyers that come in the spring market. Statistically, the next 2.5 months, including last month as a third, are the busiest times of the year for real estate. It's the absolute best time to get the most amount of money for your property. If you watch the graphs on pricing going up or down, the next 2 months will be the absolute best months to get the most amount of money. If you're thinking about selling, take advantage of that and put some more money in your pocket. If you have any questions about it, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. Take a quick break, right back in a second with a hot buyer alert.
Hey, WRNN listeners, Clay Travis here. As investors in real estate,
So for some reason, the way that the Bernie sound zone keeps changing week to week, and it's super irritating. So instead of getting all hung up on that, I'm just going to get what I need and edit it and make it perfect.
Okay.
Because I don't want to keep sitting here and like messing things up. You know?
Okay.
It'll sound good.
Home and buy a new one. Ask Blake about his guarantee.
get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know when your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with two mortgages.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 five-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's shows Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Hey, Myrtle Beach, it's Gary LaVox, lead singer of Rascal Flatts. When I'm moving on won the award for ACM Song of the Year, I struck a chord with folks who understand the challenges that come with life's big changes. For many, that happens when it comes time to sell their home. If you're moving on, you want a real estate agent who will make selling your home easy and stress-free. An agent who's willing to let you out of the contract if you're not happy with their service. That's why in Myrtle Beach, I can tell you that Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group markets your home on a whole different level. Now listen, Blake is so confident in his ability to sell your home quickly and for more money, that he guarantees to sell it or he'll buy it himself. If you're moving on, trust Blake to provide your family a stress-free home sale experience. Find Blake Sloan online at blakesloan.com, or you can call him at 843-808-SOLD. Start packing.
Welcome back, Blake Sloan, the Real Estate Show. Hot buyers alert. My team now working the ridiculous amount of home buyers. Look at my properties here in the Myrtle Beach Grand Trend area. Anywhere from $250,000 to $6.6 million. If you're thinking about selling, please call us immediately, 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. One thing we've been doing for a long time here is put our money where our mouth is. Most agents promise the world, talk the world. We call those false prophets. They're just here telling you anything, everything that you want to hear, and they don't back it up with actual facts. We always say, hey, look, by their fruit, you shall know them. And so we share real time. Hey, look, here's the deal. How many active home buyers we have right now looking on our site with a username, password, account, not hits, not views. These are actual people with a password and an account. 83,116 active home buyers. That's one of our sites. 83,116 active home buyers from all over. We have a global reach here. Right now, I got Michelle Pavolello from DeForest, Wisconsin, which is cool. I got Brian from Washington, D.C. I got Teresa Bland from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Here you go, San Jose, California, Brooklyn, New York, Charlotte, North Carolina, Augusta, Georgia, Wilmington, North Carolina, Baltimore, Maryland, Taylor, South Carolina. That's where my grandparents used to live. Jamaica, New York. I got Vandergrift, PA. Another Washington, D.C. We're getting lots of big money from D.C. lately. Salem, Virginia. So bottom, here we go, Toronto, Canada. And so we have a massive global reach. And the reason we're able to do that, we can outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. Why is that? Because if I was a single agent with 83,116 active buyers, I'd be out of business. You just can't keep up with that many. But with a sales team of 25 plus outside what we call buyer specialists that make 14,000 phone calls a week, that creates a whole lot more eyeballs and a whole lot more demand for your property because we're here hustling. And that's, we're in business to make money. That's what I'm here for. And so if we get both sides of commission, much more profitable for us. At the same time, that's what you hired us to do as a listing agent, is to sell the property, not just put it in MLS and sit back, prop our feet up and hope someone sells it. And so if you want that type of understanding, exposure, reach out, call me. We show anybody the back end. We show you real time where they're searching, who they are, and how many active buyers we have currently looking for a property just like yours. And that's what blows everyone's mind. So reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. I want you to be our next success story. Really quick, big shout out to Scott and Amanda. They own an amazing home in Little River. They tried selling it for over 6 months with a different realtor. No success. Scott recently received a promotion, was being transferred to Wilmington, North Carolina. They also found out, great news, they're expecting their first baby, which is awesome. Congrats to them. They're deciding whether to sell their home or rent it out. The problem was, if they rent it out, they have a small monthly loss. And so they're maybe going to wait a few years to sell it in the future. They spoke with a few investors and realized the investors only paying them pennies on the dollar, nothing close to what they needed because they only bought it a couple of years ago. So it wasn't a massive amount of equity. And so thankfully, they heard about us on the radio, reached out, call us about our guaranteed sold system. And we came in, met with them, shared how we can actually get the property sold for top dollar in a short period of time without waiting months to one of our buyers that we have. I came in, designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, drove massive traffic, had it under contract in less than 2 weeks, allowed them to pay their mortgage off and put equity in their property. They were blown away. Now they can move on to Wilmington, have the baby there. Big congratulations to them, to Scott and Amanda. Really quick, Athena, she's a past client of ours. Big shout out to her. We helped her sell her property in Georgetown, very nice, when she also had said it was time to sell her vacant lot a little bit later. Thankfully, she reached back out to us, knew exactly who to call. We came in, designed a custom plan, launched our Go Marketing Blitz, professional photos, launched that, drove massive traffic, had a fantastic cash offer on the property within a couple of weeks, and now she's able to move on with maximum equity in her pocket. So you want to be the next success story, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. We're still hustling here all weekend for the weekend, and it's still the time. If you're thinking about selling, go check your value right now on our website, right? blakesloan.com. You can have your own portfolio management tool in there on your phone, real time. It updates you as much as you want, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever you want. It's a free service, absolutely no obligation at all. And we're here to update that for you as well. Do me a favor. You have anybody come across that's thinking in your phone as Blake Sloan Sold, just save me in there at 843-808-SOLD. You can call us, you can text us, whatever it is. And we're here working all week. We're back here the same time next week. 843-808-SOLD at blakesloan.com. See you next week.